The 2025 Formula One season has felt like a movie full of rivalries, nerves and power plays. Only few plots have grabbed fans more than Oscar Piastri's insane rise. The quiet, sharp Australian took on Lando Norris in the same car and, for months, looked like the driver in charge. He held the points lead, the paddock murmured about a title challenge, and many wondered if he could really topple McLaren's poster boy. Then Mexico happened. Under the thin air and tricky surface of Mexico City, everything fell apart. It wasn't a small wobble, it was a slap in the face. From a 34-point cushion to the real risk of losing the lead overnight, Piastri's season suddenly feels like it's slipping away. 7th in qualifying, no rhythm, no answers, and a heavy silence on the radio after it was over. The timesheets don't tell the whole story, the silence does. Something at McLaren isn't lining up. Today, we're going to dig in and ask whether Piastri's drop is just a bad run in low grip conditions or if there's a deeper reason behind it. For half a year, Piastri was the steady force at the front, clean, calm and consistent. He had led the standing since April, showing that McLaren's young pair could trade blows with Red Bull and Ferrari, but Mexico broke that calm. This wasn't simply a disappointing qualifying, it was a shock. He ended up 6/10 slower than Norris, only 7th on the grid, and looked unsure of what had happened. That kind of gap between the two McLaren drivers wasn't supposed to be possible. In Mexico, it was obvious. Norris didn't just beat him, he blew him away. Lando's stunning pole lap was so sharp that even he sounded surprised. "I don't know how I did that," he joked. The gap, more than 6/10, was the biggest between them all year. For Piastri, who spent most Saturdays in the top 3, this wasn't a routine off day. It felt like a major warning sign. How did the man who looked like McLaren's title spear lose so much grip, confidence and pace in just a few weeks? Andrea Stella, the team principal, tried to explain it. He said it's harder for Oscar to get comfortable when the car is sliding. Mexico, with its high altitude, dust on the track and shifting grip levels, punishes drivers who rely on precision and a stable rear end. Norris, who tends to be more aggressive on corner entry and can live with a lively rear, found speed. But Stella's comments carried a quieter message too. Oscar wasn't just off the pace, he was lost in the feel of the car, and even the team couldn't fully pin down why. In the end, Piastri was classified P8 in qualifying, then moved up to start P7 thanks to a grid penalty for Carlos Sainz. That small gift doesn't hide the truth. This was a heavy blow. If Norris wins and Oscar doesn't crack the top 4, the championship lead is gone and the mental balance inside McLaren shifts with it. Then came the murmurs. Some inside Piastri's half of the garage reportedly raised concerns about inconsistent power delivery, subtle changes in throttle response out of slow corners. That's where Norris made up big chunks of time, traction zones. It could be coincidence, it could be noise. But it's now the second race weekend in a row where Piastri looked slow in every sector, in every practice, with no obvious broken part to blame. So people started asking the question no one wants to say out loud: is McLaren, even without meaning to, leaning toward Norris? Formula One has seen this pattern before, not sabotage, not anything sinister, more like the natural drift of attention toward the driver a team thinks will deliver the title, or the one who brings the most spotlight. Norris is a core part of McLaren's identity. The homegrown hero, the British favourite, the face on the posters. Piastri is brilliant, but newer. And when two drivers fight for the same crown under the same roof, history shows the scales rarely stay even for long. That said, we have to look at what's real. Norris has been in a different rhythm lately. Pole positions, relentless race speed, and a level of confidence that everyone in the paddock can feel. His feedback shapes the car. His comfort sets the direction. In modern F1, cars change all the time. Little updates, tiny changes to the floor, rear wing or suspension geometry can push the handling in a way that suits one style more. That's the quiet danger. If development creeps toward Norris's preferences, even by accident, the car can gradually move away from Piastri. Oscar's style leans on high rotation with a planted rear. Mexico offers the worst mix for that. Sliding tyres, dusty tarmac and an unpredictable rear end. On his laps you could see the caution. He braked a touch early, he didn't smash the apex with confidence. When you're 6/10 down, that hesitation is deadly, but it's also completely human when you stop trusting the tail of your car. In F1, belief in your tools is everything. When it wiggles under you at the wrong time, you can't just pretend it's fine. The clearest moment came after qualifying. The team told Oscar he was P8, then mentioned he would start P7 thanks to Sainz's penalty. The reply? Nothing. Not anger, not excuses. Just quiet. And that silence said a lot. It sounded like a driver who had run out of words, a driver trying to process a result that didn't match the hours of work he put in. After months of leading, he suddenly looked alone. The same young man who impressed everyone with ice-cold calm last year now seems to be searching for why things are falling away. Across the garage, Norris looked loose and happy. His times even scared the Ferraris and Red Bulls, who couldn't touch McLaren's one-lap pace. It was McLaren's first Mexico pole since 1990, a clear signal. In qualifying, this team is no longer chasing Red Bull, they're setting the pace. But the win for one side of the garage comes with a cost. If Norris takes the championship lead, the internal power map changes. And that's not just about points, that's about whose voice gets louder. This is where titles are really won or lost. Momentum. Every close fight becomes a mental game. Once a driver starts to doubt himself, every little issue feels huge. Every small imbalance feels like something targeted. Stella said Piastri is losing a few hundredths or thousandths in lots of corners. On paper, it's tiny. In Oscar's head, it must feel like a canyon. He's losing to the one rival he can't afford to trail, his teammate, and he's doing it while everyone watches every lap and every radio call. So was there foul play? Almost certainly not. That kind of talk is easy, but it doesn't match how modern teams operate. However, bias, especially the soft, unspoken kind, can creep in. The driver in form gets more usable data because he's hitting the targets. His feedback looks clearer because the lap times back it up. Engineers lean into that path because it brings instant results. Then the gap grows again. It becomes a loop. None of that requires bad intentions. It's just how high-level sport behaves under pressure. For Piastri, the job now is both technical and emotional. He has to claw back the feel he lost, push the car toward a window that suits him, and rebuild trust in the rear end so he can attack again. He needs to bring back that lean, sharp aggression that made people call him a future champion earlier this year. He must do it fast because once a title fight tilts, it can lean harder with every race. The good news is that Piastri has shown he can be methodical and calm under fire. He doesn't panic on the radio. He doesn't throw blame in public. If McLaren can identify whether this is setup drift, tricky conditions, or subtle hardware behavior like throttle mapping inconsistency, he can reset. If not, the story writes itself. The car keeps evolving for Norris, and Oscar gets stuck chasing a moving target. What do you think? Was this weekend just a case of Norris nailing the lap and Piastri struggling in low-grip chaos? Or is there something more under McLaren's smooth surface? Could Lando's run be purely down to skill and form? Or are the invisible forces of development, direction, attention and confidence shaping this title fight more than anyone wants to admit? Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment below. See you in the next video.